So if you were to talk to somebody who's a processor who's maybe just getting on the shelf in sort of the the larger retail environment,
Yeah.
what's like the top 2 or 3 things that they really need to focus on and deliver on?
Yeah, I think that, the whole marketing piece is just like a non-negotiable. I think that they have to really stay consistent with their messaging to their target market and just keep that going and just be very true to who they are and ignore the noise of the people who don't want to buy their product. Just forget about them. Don't try and pivot to fit that mold. Just stay in your lane. Just stay there. I think that's the number one thing I would say. I would say number two, specifically talking about a store and in your products in the store, I think it's really important. I'm seeing a lot of people missing the mark here, but take some time to think about how your product looks on the store shelf. So I see a lot of companies missing this. They just, they're in the freezer and they're up on the top shelf so people can't see their label, and they're completely missing sales. They're leaving money on the table. So I think it's really important for customers or for companies to think about different scenarios as well. If you're on the shelf here, what if you're down below? Should you maybe look at putting something on the top of your jar? Or I see people come out with like a bag of beans or something, and then they're on the shelf and it's a flat bag so people can't see what's in it. So maybe more of an upright box. So I think that when you launch into stores in a big way, that's a big investment and a big push, make sure your packaging is proper for the shelf and where you might be positioned, and also just making sure your packaging is attractive. I see a lot of companies put their products in grocery stores, and I think they just miss the mark in terms of just something that's effective. And I think that I hate to say it, but looks do matter in a grocery store. Like, I don't know about you, but I buy a bottle of wine based on the label. I want to have a nice looking label of bottle of wine. So people do eat with their eyes first. So you have to make sure that your product is nice looking, your design is cohesive, it's modern, it's professional. Don't do it yourself. Like, maybe have a designer put it together.
Test it in the store. Take it to the category. Ask the store. See if you can put a few bottles in and see what it looks like.
Exactly. And again, you're leaving money on the table if you don't do that step. I think a lot of people try to cut corners and do it affordably, but you have to do your due diligence. Like, maybe go out to stores outside of the city, even outside of the province. I love to go to the US and check out grocery shelves there and see what's attractive, see what's not attractive, see what's working, and get some ideas, especially when we're doing this rebrand. Think of ideas of how, maybe we should try doing this. That's really eye appealing, because ultimately you want people to pick up your product, and then you want them to look at it and you want them to say, this is interesting. So maybe you want to have a QR code on there that takes them to your website or a sales page that gives, talks about your value proposition and what makes you different and what they can do with your product. Something that's really compelling. Maybe you have that on there, or maybe you have some pairings of what you can pair that product with, or maybe you have some quick points like ready, cook from frozen, ready in 10 minutes, things that somebody be like, oh, that's sweet, I want to cook this from frozen and it's ready in 10 minutes. It's important to have your packaging really compelling. And I think that a lot of people try and cut corners there. And I would say not to cut corners, because again, you're leaving money on the table and you're leaving success on the table. And ultimately, when you get into a store, that first reorder is the most important. So you want to make sure that you do everything in your power to make sure that happens and it goes smoothly and successfully.
So 3 things then: focus on the marketing.
Yep.
Don't, be relentless about it.
Be relentless.
Make sure your product performs at retail in terms of packaging and messaging.
Yep.
And then get that reorder.
And get that reorder, and then do everything you can to get that reorder. So maybe when you first get into the stores, talk about an intro promo to get some special positioning, or maybe do a demo, or maybe they have a little flyer. I know a lot of smaller grocers have an email push they do out of new products, or talk to them about what you can do with that. And then also, one thing people miss is just educating the staff. Like, maybe cook up some product and leave it in the staff room for lunch, or leave some jars of, in the staff room so they can try it. I think that people forget that staff are also your customers, because chances are they shop in that store too. And they might get a staff discount, so they're a lot more likely to buy in their store. So I think that people miss that piece, that customers are the staff as well. So that doesn't hurt too. And ultimately those staff talk to customers. So if the customer's picking up your jar of mustard, they're smack dab and they're not really sure, they put it back and say, oh, that flavor's really good. My favorite's this one. I put it on this. Oh, cool. Recommendations mean a lot. So there are definitely a checklist I would recommend that they really follow through to get that first reorder, but that first reorder is very important.